Here we go.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulan J. And up next, the state of the Ravens. Do me a quick favor, hit like. If it is your first time checking out the GM, hit subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's talk about it. The state of the Ravens will certainly become a regular part of our list of segments that we do. It was something I was going to do once in a while, but the more and more I think about it, the more time I'm going to invest in this segment rather than some of the other segments I had spent some time doing. So you'll see some segments being discarded and more time spent with State of the Ravens. But let's get into it. The State of the Ravens right now is one that has a huge question mark. Okay. And I'll talk about the present, the season, and then what's for the future in every segment. So right now in the present, I think it's a question mark because the Baltimore Ravens are still trying to figure out who they are and what they are offensively. Okay. And that's a little scary, especially with a little concerning, it's a better word, especially with the offensive performance they put out last week. Offensively, the Baltimore Ravens have lost in part every running back um, that they had listed as the starter, the backup, and then the third guy in some way, shape, or form this year. Although Gus is back and ready to go, um, we're still down what we went into the season with as our running back room. And so that definitely causes some questions on what the Ravens will or won't be at that position. The offensive line has had some replacement parts, even from the beginning of the second week, which certainly creates some question marks. What kind of offensive unit will it be with missing parts at running back, missing parts at the offensive line position? The receiving room has had missing parts since week number 2. So, what kind of offensive unit will we be with missing parts? And then the offensive coordinator has been missing in times over the last 3 weeks as well. So the question still remains, what kind of offensive unit will we be? I don't think the Ravens know, and I don't think we can really know as a fan base. And so I think when we look at the present, we're going to go into a week 4 matchup with a bully of a defense that's number one in a lot of major categories, top 3 in all categories defensively against our middle of the road offense with replacement parts at major positions. And I think that when you really think about it, we really end up with a Lamar Jackson or bust scenario. And that was okay in year 2, 2019 and 2020 and 2021. That may have been even okay in 2022, but that can no longer be okay now. It can no longer be Lamar Jackson or bust. He's no longer going to be able to outduel an entire defense um, alone. Okay. He's going to need his offensive coordinator to call plays, which are going to be effective. He's going to need his tight ends to uh, get open. He's going to need his wide receivers to catch the ball. He's going to need his running backs to hit the hole hard. He's going to need his running backs to catch the ball. He's going to need his offensive line to block. All things that we've had questions about this year. And so it's a big concern for right now and into the near future. Because see, I'm calling week 4 a must win. Although I predicted the Cleveland Browns to win this game, I'm calling it a must win for the Baltimore Ravens. And I'm going to tell you why. Okay. We already have one conference loss to a team we should have never lost to. Okay. A division loss kind of comes off as two losses in some aspects. Why? Because it's a division loss, but it's also a conference loss. Next week, week number 5, our offensive task doesn't get any easier because we face a really nice, really tough Pittsburgh Steelers defense, which is also a division game, which has double the implication, division and conference. Then we go to London in week 6, still on the road basically, to face a Tennessee Titans team who by that time will be hungry for a win. And so this is a must win. One, to build confidence. Two, to build identity. You see, it's a must win because if we get beat this week, I think it has the potential to shake this team's core. Why? Because if you don't have an identity as a team, you follow me? Nothing else is stable. Knowing who you are is what builds confidence in a team. You see, the fan base and the organization went into this season believing that the offense would eventually kick into high gear and carry this team. But in fact, it's been the opposite. The defense has played more solid, and the offense has struggled to kind of find themselves, which is, again, what I predicted that it would take the first 4 weeks to kind of figure out. But it makes me even more concerned with the step back that we had in week number 3. To go against a defense with just this kind of front four is a big concern. And so I think that this week's game, even if we only score 17 points, this week's game is a must win because we need a shot of confidence. You see, because if we have a poor offensive performance this week, people are going to start questioning Lamar even more. I didn't question Lamar in my video. I simply discussed what needed to improve. See, I wouldn't talk about improvement if I didn't believe that he could do it. But getting on the field and doing it is something totally different. If we have a poor offensive performance this week, people are already going to begin to question not Greg Roman, but Todd Monken. People are already questioning him. Those questions will get louder. They're going to question Lamar. Those questions will get louder. They're going to question John Harbaugh. Those questions get louder. They're going to question EDC. Those questions will get louder. Why? Because EDC put the team together. John Harbaugh had a hand in putting the team together. He's responsible for leading this team. Lamar Jackson is to lead this offense on the field, and then everything else should be rallying around the leadership. So if we come out and wet the bed this week, it could create a crisis in Ravens Nation. Because I don't know if this team has the utmost confidence right now. I don't know if this team has ultra focus right now. They can't have ultra focus because they've been too undisciplined. If the Baltimore Ravens do not win in week number 4, this may start a skid. It may start a skid. So that's the state of the Ravens as of right now. As it pertains to the future, throughout the season and into even the off season, I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to come to realize they've made a lot of bad investments. They've kind of ignored what they've had in-house and went out and grabbed some big ticket items. Specifically, let's give an example like Marcus Williams. Marcus Williams has not returned the investment in him. Again, I understand these are people, these are human bodies crashing into other human bodies, and the body is not made to take that kind of punishment. But when we're talking about a $70 million contract, 14 million per, we have not got that return on investment, especially when we had a guy like Geno Stone already in house, who, when given the opportunity, has played at the same level of the big ticketed Marcus Williams. He just has. He just has. When we look at um, other big ticket items, like we went and got Roquan Smith, which I think is was a good deal for what we got for him, a second and a fifth or something like that. Is $100 million linebacker really going to pay the dividends that we need to get to where we want to go? You see, because a true statement is this: we highlight how good Roquan has been, but the Ravens have ignored how great Patrick Queen has also been. This linebacking duo is a tandem. They're made to play together, not apart. But Patrick Queen is going to be more of a question, somewhat because they've given big money from guys outside instead of promoting from the inside. You see, that's an EDC John Harbaugh issue. When we look at our pass rush position, we haven't got a pass rusher yet, whether by draft or by trade, going all the way back to Ndakwe. We haven't got a pass rusher yet that we could depend on to get to the quarterback. You see, when we look at our future, meaning from now forward, who are we really excited about in that pass rush room? Who are we really excited about? Odafe's in his third year, had a dominant all season, but he's already out. And before he went out, he was playing good against the run, but we didn't see much pass rush at all. Gave a second round pick for David Ajabo when other guys at positions of need were available. But we knew when we drafted him he wasn't going to play. And then here we are in the second year, fourth week, he's not going to play. See, these are John Harbaugh EDC issues. You see, when you look at a Rashad Bateman, who was a first round pick from the same draft of Odafe, I think that was 2021, he may not play this week. He didn't play most of last year. He didn't play most of his first year. So when you really, really look at it, what does the present to the future look like for those players and the Ravens? Bateman or Odafe have earned a fifth year option pickup, nor much less an extension. What are we staking our future on in Baltimore? What are we staking it on? I guess it's just going to be Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers, Kyle Hamilton, and Linderbaum, which is pretty good. But where are the rest of the stability for this team going to come from? That's what first, second, and third round picks are supposed to be. They're supposed to be the infrastructure for a team. You can't just miss repeatedly on first, second, and third round picks. Again, I understand you can't predict injury, but my goodness, Patrick Queen may be gone. Marquise Brown is already gone. Odafe and Bateman are not getting fifth year options picked up. David Ajabo, second round pick from last year, is already hurt and may never turn into what his potential was. So what? And then when you even look at this year's draft, we had 5 picks. Who's the only guy playing? One of the picks are already gone, and Zay is the only guy we see. Where's Trenton Simpson? A guy I admittedly predicted would replace Patrick Queen. Where is he? You don't even hear about him. Is he hurt? Is he active? Is he special teams? I mean, where is he? But then we have the audacity to consider not picking up Patrick Queen's fifth year option, not giving him an extension. See, it's nonsensical not to make Patrick Queen a part of the future, regardless of cost. Because what else are we relying upon? What else? We don't have a real answer at the cornerback position outside of Marlon Humphrey, who is hurt right now. We don't have an answer. Marlon Humphrey may not come back to mid-season. So we know Ronald Darby and Rock Ya-Sin are not our future. Is Brandon Stevens going to continue to ball out and be the future at the cornerback position? He may, but we don't know. And so I'm not super enthused about what we got going on in player development in our future, especially when this is the regime that's picking it. That's why week 4 is a must win, because the Baltimore Ravens have to win this year. They have to show that they can win even when circumstances are not good, because all the other teams around us seem to be getting better. Their players seem to be developing. Their players seem to be filling a role. But other than the guys that we already knew could ball, we don't really see anybody doing anything. Even Mark Andrews, where is he this year? He got paid a couple of years back, and he was a Pro Bowler, but he's not at a Pro Bowl level right now. We need to see we need to see some of that 11 pick 2022 draft, I believe it was. Yeah. We need to see some of those players begin to stand up. We know what Kyle Hamilton is. I said Kyle Hamilton is a top 10 safety in the league about 3 months ago, and somebody said, "Man, you don't know what you're talking about." Well, looks like I know what I'm talking about, because Kyle Hamilton has been the best player on the Baltimore Ravens next to Zay Flowers as far as position and impact. We know what we have in Lindenbaum if he can stay healthy. But where are the rest of those 11 picks at? It's time to start seeing what Daniel Falele can do. You have a 6'8", 360-pound plus guy. He needs to get on the field and smash somebody. We need to see what he can do. We need to see Isaiah Likely on the field more. We need to see what he can do. We know he has talent. We know he has good speed for a tight end. We know he has good size and good hands. And see, people went hard at him last week, and I talked about him a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, the reason why a guy who has not played much in that game can't be the go-to guy is because he doesn't have a rhythm. If he's that talented and we're down um, Odell Beckham, and then Rashad Bateman, his hamstring was supposed to have tightened up on him, then we need to put Isaiah Likely on the field so he can get into a rhythm, because he has the ability to do some things offensively. But when you don't put him on the field, then what? What do you expect for him to drop the ball if there's no rhythm? You see, it's time to see some of that 2022 draft class. It's time to see. Jordan Stout has gotten better as punting, so that's as a punter, excuse me. So that's good. But where are the rest of the draft class at? Who is left from? I don't even remember who got drafted in 2021. So somebody tell me, besides Bateman and Odafe, who was drafted? I don't remember who was drafted in 2020 besides Patrick Queen. So if somebody can remember it, can point out any of those guys, please tell me. But I think that it's time. It's time to start seeing what else we have in store. Because if not, if we don't win this season, there's going to be huge question marks for continual seasons, because that would say we couldn't win when the team was the most talented offensively, supposedly. So how are we going to win when the talent may not be there? How are we going to win later when draft picks aren't being developed, when they're not shining, when they're not given opportunity? So week 4 is a must win. We cannot get into a slide. We cannot get into a slide. We can't have a 2-game losing streak going into Pittsburgh and then going into London. This team's confidence right now doesn't seem to be solid. And if we go into a slide, this season could be over by week 6. So week 4 is a must win. So let me talk about some ways, man, I believe we could win this game. Number 1, ball control and ball security. Number 2, we need another 70% completion rate from Lamar Jackson. But we need more like 250 to 280 yards, not 200 yards, which is going to be dependent upon play calling. Number 3, we have to find somebody else besides Zay Flowers, because I believe they're going to cover him, double coverage, and then also I believe they're going to allow Denzel Ward to follow him on the field. We have to get the tight ends involved. I would like to see some 2 tight end sets, because Dilprit has an ability to have great range, but he can't be in all places at one time. And so to have a 2 tight end set where we're attacking both seams, could be beneficial for us. We have to spread this team out and run up the middle, not on the edge. They're too fast to run on the edge. We have to spread them out, double Tomlinson in that middle, and run up the middle. We have to offer Lamar Jackson at least some quality protection. I'm not saying he's going to have 5 and 6 seconds back there to decide where to throw it, but we at least need to give him 3 to 4 seconds. Don't do those silly wide receiver screens. This team is too fast for wide receiver screens. Pull out some slants, some stop and goes, some in breaking cuts, things like that, to bring receivers back into Lamar Jackson's field of sight. Defensively, do exactly what you've been doing. I think with the exception of those 2 big runs from Zach Moss last week, which totals about 50 yards, I think the Baltimore Ravens did okay against the run last week. So you're going to have to bring that same level of intensity. Will the defensive line and linebackers step up and do what they need to do? I think if they do that, if we stop the run and make this team more one-dimensional, I don't think they can beat us offensively. But the question is, how many points can we put up? If we can get to 20 points, I think we can win this game with a Justin Tucker field goal at the end. But we have to develop team character this week. We have to have some integrity this week. We have to build some confidence this week, because it's a must win. This is not all I would like to say about the Ravens, but it's all I'm going to say for now.